Hi and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's video, I would like to apologize for my absence for a few days. I couldn't upload the video for Barcelona and Real Madrid because it's been crazy working. But in this video we'll be taking a look at the few key tactics that Ancelotti used to actually outclass Xavi. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do subscribe, as it will help us a lot. So in this video we're going to talk about the tactics of Ancelotti and how Xavi could actually have countered it. Let's get right into the video. In the build-up phase, Xavi was always going to look to be aggressive by pressing really high in order to get the ball as high up the pitch as possible. Therefore, Real Madrid really split their centre-backs next to the goalkeeper with the full-backs really high in order for Barcelona's front two, which was Pedri and Lewandowski, to be outnumbered within the back line and also be outnumbered within the midfield. With Barcelona outnumbered in midfield, that means that Barcelona's front two could not be static at all. They would actually try to maneuver Real Madrid by pressing from a specific angle in order to get the ball over onto one side. Whereas the ball would go to the fullback, then Barcelona's winger would actually go into press. This is where the role of Toni Kroos and Tchouaméni was really important, because they would drop next to the centre back and the fullback, trying to create an extra man, and Vinicius would start a lot more deeper, drawing out Sergio Roberto from his position in order to put Barcelona in a really weird space. This would still favour Barcelona, as they would have a 3-on-3 within the midfield, or at least on the side. But Benzema also dropping into midfield, trying to create a 4 vs 3, really put Jules Koundé in a really awkward position of going out to press Benzema, leaving Barcelona totally vulnerable. In order to drag the whole backline across, Ancelotti also had Fede Valverde going into midfield in order to leave the flank open for Carvajal to go and exploit the space, where a possible switch to Carvajal would put Barcelona in a totally dire situation, which is actually 2 goals came from either flank with this tactic in mind, the one of Benzema and the one of Fede Valverde. In my opinion, Fede Valverde is the most important Real Madrid player right now, because he's so versatile, even more than Kroos and Modric. Because in the build-up phase, when Barcelona looked to press high and Toni Kroos would actually drop into the backline to aid a numerical advantage, Barcelona would look to press still very high, and Real Madrid were left with a double pivot only of Tchouaméni and Modric. In order to leave Benzema and Vinicius high, Ancelotti actually had Federico Valverde dropping into midfield, which means if one of the 3 midfielders of Barca looked to go out and press, one ball into midfield would totally leave Barcelona in a dire situation, as they would easily be outnumbered, which happened on many occasions. For Carlo Ancelotti, it was not about having numbers for trying to stretch Barcelona in any way. It was more about having control of the midfield, overloading the midfield, as he knew that is where the game would be lost and won. Where Carvajal would go forward and having a back 3, this was actually Barcelona's game. Where Kroos and Modric and Federico Valverde and Tchouaméni would actually form like a midfield 4, almost like a diamond, Johan Cruyff style, where they would try to control the midfield. Where the hard-working engine of Fede Valverde could easily overload and go forward, trying to bring Barca's backline narrow in order to attack the space in behind him. Robert Lewandowski also played a big part, as Ancelotti knew that he wasn't going to be involved in the defending of Barcelona, as well as the wingers. He would try to overwork them, which accidentally really hammered Barcelona's attacking prowess and attacking power and the flair, whereas Barcelona didn't look like they were going to score at any time. As we all know, Xavi really wants his free eights to be really high in order to create a 5 vs 4 to outnumber most backlines. But Federico Valverde allowed Real Madrid to have a 5 vs 5, which in most cases would be a nightmare for most teams, but this is Real Madrid. Which meant that Pedri actually would go into midfield, getting closer to Busquets with Frenkie de Jong as well. Therefore, Barcelona's wingers were then in midfield, which in turn would allow Barca's fullbacks to operate really high. And this was not a good scenario because this actually allowed Real Madrid to even go man to man, sometimes even tying up Sergio Busquets, where it would affect Barcelona's build-up play very harshly. In most scenarios, this was done to aid the fact that if Barcelona's players in the half spaces would drop onto the ball, one of the backline could follow them even furthermore because Real Madrid's backline would still be intact. In my opinion, the 4-2-3-1 would have been Barcelona's best bet to actually tie down Real Madrid, where they would actually keep a hold of Tchouaméni and also defending really narrow would have not allowed Real Madrid to actually overload the midfield, as the mid and the central areas would actually be covered. Also sending up Robert Lewandowski to play in between the centre backs would have not been making a pass between the centre backs possible. The only outlets therefore would be the close by centre back's partner in fullback or the opposite fullback. However, the opposite fullback is a slightly more risky pass, as one of Rafinha or Dembele could have easily gone over to actually recover the ball. Them having a double pivot would have not mattered at all, as they would actually be closed down as well. And we would actually have an extra man to actually come over and tie up the loose ends whichever Real Madrid would have had the ball at. So going from centre back, Lewandowski would press, Rafinha go over to the far side centre back, and Frenkie de Jong joining to create not an overload on one side to stop Real Madrid actually from recovering the ball. This way with Barcelona would actually been much more effective. This is why Marcos Alonso should have started as a left back, creating a back three in order to allow Alejandro Balde or Sergio Roberto to go make a double pivot of Frenkie de Jong. This would have allowed Barcelona to have a lot more control, allowing our free aids to go into higher spaces, which in turn would actually brought back Fede Valverde, creating a 5-on-5 in the final third of Real Madrid. Their front two would have been outnumbered, which is more likely that they would have a midfield four with Benzema up alone trying to create the pressure. Alejandro Balde could have made underlapping runs just like Sergio Roberto did against Inter Milan, but most importantly it would have been close to Rafinha, where he would make the underlapping runs trying to receive the ball in these regions, trying to create an extra man. This would have likely had the likes of Toni Kroos or whoever to follow Alejandro Balde, in turn to create even less numbers for Real Madrid in midfield, trying to stretch them as well. This is where the role of Koundé would have been much more effective, where he would actually receive the ball and actually dribble forward, trying to push out players from their position, where Pedri could actually receive, where somebody would follow him, and then Pedri would actually be in the position to actually create space in the half space next to the box for Robert Lewandowski also to attack. But now this is the thing, with Dembele and Federico Valverde in a one-on-one in order to create some space, this would have hammered his ability to go up and down, because he would have been worried about Ousmane Dembele being in a much more better position to take on Valverde. And this is where also Rafinha could have had his time trying to cross the ball over to Xavi and Pedri, or whoever plays there, to go on over there. But let me know down in the comment section, what do you guys think about this game? What do you think about Barcelona and how they fared against Real Madrid? Also everything that was wrong against Real Madrid. Tomorrow I'm going to be dropping a ball of a video to actually explain to you guys why our build-up play has been heavily affected. Please do subscribe to the channel. Let me know down in the comment section what do you think about the game, and let us know what type of videos also we should be dropping. Follow me on Facebook, there will be a link in the description as well. And just a special shout out to Xavi for winning the Copa trophy. Congratulations, son, you absolutely deserve it, even though a lot of people think you don't deserve it, but you actually do, because of your tenacity and all of your hard working, your warrior, your big heart, and your no die attitude. Thank you very much for watching this video. Goodbye.